What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JP and Trav Show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. And to the right of me, I have my esteemed co-host, Travis J. Davis. And Travis, how you feeling, man?
Feeling great, man. Feeling great. The Thunder were able to not give up any assets and still trade up 2 spots. We got a couple commitments this week. I think we probably have 2 or 3 more happening before the end of the month. I mean, Texas's top commit decommitted, which is hilarious to me because they all say he's not a take, even though he's the highest commit in their class and a top 100 player nationally. Just the vibes have been immaculate. Baseball is killing it. I mean, not to mention the 2-sport athletes that they're bringing in, but bringing in big-time pitchers, a couple of them from Wichita State that are sure to get a ton of run, future, major leaguers they're bringing in. After talking to some of the baseball coaches, they're excited about next year. Hopefully we can break some more attendance records next year.
Yeah. I mean, Skip's been on a roll.
Skip's a menace, man. He's a menace.
My favorite gif that I've been tweeting out is, he's not the late great Shannon Sharp. He's still alive, but the late great Shannon Sharp from Undisputed, because he's no longer there. He has, that famous line where he goes, Skip.
That's my favorite, man.
That's what I've been using because that's how I feel right now. Come on, Skip. Come on now, Skip. Like this,
Skip.
He's been balling, dog, and obviously, there's nothing to say. Even as I know we'll get into it a little bit here in a second, but the whole Taylor Tatum thing. Obviously, there's a slew of crystal balls. Nothing's happened quite yet, but you can clearly see the momentum heading that way, and you have to believe Skip Johnson's got a big piece of that in there as well.
Yeah, Skip Johnson's the best thing ever to happen to OU football. I don't know what it is about these baseball guys. They roll in and they just, shut down shop on them and say, look, you're going to come play baseball here. I was told by, let's just say, people who would know that Lincoln didn't do a damn thing to help his football players with their baseball schedule. That was all the baseball side. It will continue to be the baseball side that makes that happen. But yeah, we've got, with Reggie Willits on staff, that's massive. Nobody else has a Reggie Willits guy or really Reggie Willits type on staff. Skip Johnson, if you're a pitcher, you have no business going anywhere but learning from Skip Johnson. You talk about a guy like James Nesta. He gets to learn linebacker from Brent Venables and learn pitching from Skip Johnson. Come on now. Too easy. So, Ryan Gaines, obviously, like the rest of the entire baseball staff, just really doing big things. We will be in the mix to host a regional next year. I am 100% convinced of that.
I love that. And, you got to love, obviously, the baseball program. Even as they lost so much last year, obviously they made the NCAA tournament, but being able to clearly hit some big recruits on the trail, as you said, James Nesta. And I don't remember the young man's name, unfortunately, but I know that we had another commit today that just decided to come to OU baseball. I believe he's a pitcher as well. So, you got a lot of momentum going for the OU baseball program. Obviously, the OU football program right now, as you said, James Nesta and Dozie Eskunama. Ezukama. Man, we worked on this too, and I messed it up.
I know. This is literally the only thing we worked on in pre-show.
Ezukama. Whose brother plays for the Miami Dolphins currently. And, even though he's just a 3-star right now, man, his tape is really good. He's a speedster as well. So looking forward to seeing what he can provide, as well as James Nesta, who's, 6'4.5-ish, 6'5", and got a large frame. Everything Brent Venables would want in a linebacker. Good athlete, obviously, going to be able to play 2 sports. But, man, let's get into Champion Barbecue a little bit. I know, obviously, I know a lot of people have talked about it since it's been this past weekend, but, man, give us your impressions of how you felt the weekend went, Trev.
The people that they really wanted to key in on, because with 28 visitors, let's be honest, There are going to be some that get more attention than others. It's just as simple as that. I mean, OU has done 42 official visits in the last 2 weeks, or I mean, if you count Champ U as current. So that's pretty silly. 42 in 2 weeks. So obviously, not everybody's going to get the attention they feel they deserve, which is fine. Like I said, all the major targets definitely felt like they did. The Dominic McKinleys of the world, Joseph Jonah Jones of the world, the Eddie Pierre Louise of the world. You even talk about guys like friend of the show, Bennett Warren, Grant Bricks, a lot of these guys that, really kind of felt like, and even a guy like Xavier Robinson, who really felt like he was made a priority, that really turned the tide in his recruitment. So big time stuff from Champ U per usual. Shout out Toby Keith, really stepped up. And from my understanding, he would have had to take a larger role within the university, because in the past they had to have hosted stuff like that at if it was at somebody's house, it had to be at like a university member's, like a staff's house. So we'll see, or not. We'll see. It's already happened, but I kind of want to know what that capacity is. But regardless, everything went well. They had the private jets, they had the pickleball, they had the basketball, they had gorgeous sunset. At least the first weekend, the last weekend it got a little rainy, but no, really, really good stuff. The meat on the smoker in the stadium that Lee put out looked incredible. Sooner Cowboys, yes, said that he might commit to Georgia if Mama enjoys the OV. Personally, I think Mama's going to enjoy the OV, so I'm not holding my breath for Joseph Jonah Ojonye, but crazier things have happened. So I think Nigel Smith, people feel really, really good about. We've continued to feel good about him for the last 2 years. His family feels really good about it. Obviously, Peyton Pierce is trying to pull him to Ohio State, and then Penn State is doing their darndest. But I don't have any reason to believe that Nigel Smith will be anything but a Sooner. And I love me some Nigel Smith. He is awesome, man. That man is big, too. I know Rondell Bothroyd was kind of working with him as his host, ran into Rondell. And that's who they kind of see him being the next version of, right? Because Rondell is a bigger guy. When you look at the size difference of like a PJ and a Rondell's a thicker guy. So you could not move him to true inside, but move him kind of inside and out a little bit. And they really want Nigel Smith to kind of be the heir apparent to Rondell Bothroyd. So, the leading PFF ranked pass rusher in the Big 12 returning would be Rondell Bothroyd. And yes, Jaden Jackson, if David Stone's recruitment were to speed up, if he were to shut things down once he finally exactly knows where he wants to go, then Jaden Jackson, his family loved it. You kind of get that Samoan vibe from his mom and things like that. We just landed two Hawaiian defensive linemen back to back. And then now, we've got obviously Jocelyn ties and Dylan Gabriel's ties, and we're slowly getting some of those Samoans on campus, which I'm all for. Teddy, I was on air with Teddy, and Teddy said he doesn't think anybody who's ever gotten hurt that has any Samoan blood. There's something in their bones or something like that. But this weekend's got a lot of interesting OVs, obviously. Texas, a lot this time of the year, everybody's trying to wrap up their recruitment. So we've got some folks in Texas, obviously Jaden Jackson being one of them. Texas recruiting has been really interesting as of late. They had 6 commits. I think they got a commitment from their the 28th ranked running back or 23rd ranked running back in the country. That was their big, hey, we got our running back. But then they had obviously their top ranked player decommit. So they do not currently have a player in the top 100, which is kind of interesting considering how well they typically recruit. Yeah, and Micah Hudson looks to be a Texas Tech Red Raider. And you wonder kind of the interesting thing is Joey McGuire is recruiting his ass off. And it's interesting because I don't think Texas Tech recruiting really affects OU, but it absolutely affects Texas. Like, I know that sounds weird because usually we're after the same people. Like, usually we're after, you know, similar targets, right? OU and Texas are. But it seems like Texas and Texas Tech have far more in common than OU and Texas Tech. So it's going to be wild to watch that going forward. Like I said, Texas is always going to recruit well, but they're kind of running it. They're not going to have the big quarterback this year. They've got a 3-star guy that, you know, didn't even get invited to Elite 11. Good. What, it must be a bum, you know. But we could have 2 quarterbacks ranked higher than their 1 quarterback when it's all said and done. But it's interesting to see how Texas handles Joey McGuire's, you know, surging onto the path.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've done a lot of not a lot, but you know, there's always the message board guys that are on there, and then there's the big one where they're like, you know, shut it all down. Like, how can we lose Micah Hudson? Like, you know, it was a mess. You'll have those fans, but Texas always recruits well. I'm sure they'll be fine eventually, but it's interesting to see that they don't have a guy in the top 100 right now, and that they've just lost their top recruit, as you said, and probably going to lose Micah Hudson to Texas, or excuse me, Texas Tech. So it's going to be certainly interesting to see what happens this weekend. I'm sure they'll have some smoke and everything like that, as one does after official visits, as we just did after our weekend. So I guess we'll have to see what comes of that specifically and whatnot. One thing I'd like to touch on is who's been the talk of the town for most of this week, and that is one Taylor Tatum. It's the young man out of um, man, I completely blanked on what city he's
Longview.
from. Longview, man. Head back to Longview, Kelly Poppin' Trunk. How could I forget that? It was in my head. Longview, Texas. And, obviously the big three in his recruitment has been Michigan, us, and USC. So after he visited and decided not to go to Michigan, some people thought, they didn't really know where, we stood with him. And, a lot of people, well, a couple people put in their crystal balls for USC at that point. And then something shifted, seismically shifted, and you start to see, what is it now, 10? Maybe 10, 11 crystal balls that have come in for Taylor Tatum in the last, 48 hours or so. And really, yesterday was, I mean, it was like one after the other, almost made you feel like he was going to commit. But Trav, give your opinion, man, on what you think about Taylor Tatum and how you feel like he'll end up.
Yeah, I have lots of reason to believe that he'll be a Sooner. Mainly, I mean, when the only guy holding out hope is Scott Schrader, who claims to have better sources than everybody, even though he got absolutely ran over.
That was hilarious.
Ran over on social media, as he deserved. You don't come out and say, well, whoever, whoever, whatever he decides to pick, we'll have it first because we have better sources than anybody at 247 on 3 or rivals at OU. Like, who do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are? Like, who says that? There are people on your own network that you're supposed to be working with on this kind of stuff. And then he says, oh, looks like OU has pulled ahead according to my OU source, which was Josh McQueeston. So it's like, how are you going to say that, oh, I have better sources than anybody on the OU stuff, and then cite an OU guy as your source? Like, it's funny to me. It's really funny to me. It was really funny to hear Lincoln Riley is the one that made all that stuff work for baseball and football with Kyler and everything. Like, simply not true. Simply not true. So, yeah, I think Tatum will be a Sooner personally. I'm told he, him and his family, they're not big city folk, if you will. They like to earn what they have. They're hard workers. They're very humble. And I think Oklahoma is just a better fit for him, really. And I think Norman's a better fit for them than LA. And you have to keep in mind, This kid loves baseball. I was told that he loves baseball. He likes football. So, kid loves baseball. Think of Big Ten baseball. I mean, if you're from Texas, and I'm told him and his sister hate the cold, whole family hates the cold. So that got rid of Michigan in a hurry, especially when they took that other back. And then Big Ten is gonna like your USC is gonna have to travel and play baseball thousands of miles away in the cold. So it's like, yeah, if you have a chance to go play in the best football conference and the best baseball conference and in warm weather and at a school that's proven to be able to have a plan. Here's the thing. You know how I know that Tatum knows that the current OU staff is the one that put the plan together for dual sport is because they laid it out for him on his visit and in detail and said, "Hey, look, this is exactly how it's going to work." All Lincoln can do is say, "Hey, this is how it worked at Oklahoma."
Yep.
Like Oklahoma can say, "This is how it worked here." Like so, with that, it's like he's retweeting Deuce Robinson stuff and this, that, and the other. Like, bro, Deuce Robinson claims he's going to play in professional baseball and college football at the same time. I believe it when I see it. But like, that's what cracks me up is like you would have if you would have had a plan for Caden to play both sports at USC, you would have presented that plan instead of saying, "Oh, at Oklahoma, that was all me." Okay, well at USC, what do you got for me? So,
Yep.
no, I like Tatum to the Sooners eventually. I'm not sure when an announcement will happen, but you know, I hope it's soon because that's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, you've already got a lot of people excited about it, and I mean, just to think that we're going to potentially, you know, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion, so potentially win a battle over Lincoln Riley, and you know how the fan base feels about Lincoln Riley,
Hmm.
everything like that. But also on top of that, you know, one of my tweets that got a lot of traction in the last couple of days was, you know, the same people who a couple of years ago said DeMarco Murray can't recruit, and we remember who those people are the same ones that said Top Bates can't recruit. And DeMarco Murray was in his first year during a COVID year. There's a lot of stuff going on. We tried to tell you guys, like, hey, he knows what he's doing. Like it should have been that hard just because in 1 year or one cycle it doesn't seem like he's hitting on a ton of guys. And now, I mean, you're going to potentially have a running back room with, you know, Javante Barnes, Gavin Sawchuk. You'll still have Megwa there, and then potentially Taylor Tatum, Caden Durham, Xavier Robinson. I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
That's a stacked room. And so, you know, Todd Bates is just he's really just now being able to actually get into his groove. And there's a good chance we land, you know, Nigel Smith. There's a good chance we land David Stone. There's a good chance, you know, we land well, not I wouldn't say JJ anymore, obviously. I think that, you know, as we talked about earlier, he may be trending towards Georgia, but you know, there's even, you know, some traction with Dominic McKinley that's happened this past weekend. So there's still a lot of room left for these guys to come on to Oklahoma. So you know, don't put nail in the coffin on somebody just because you feel like in literally one cycle, like one recruiting class, they didn't get who you feel like they should have.
Right. And that was a Kamar Wheaton issue, right? So it's like
Yep.
you didn't get Kamar Wheaton, but now what I like about it is he's been like, and the reason I think that Tatum and Durham will both be Sooners is it's the same pitch that I talked to Gavin Sawchuk's dad about it. You know, Javante Barnes has talked about it. It's DeMarco understands you want tread on the tires once you get to the NFL. You want to be able to put great stuff on tape, and you want to be able to have, you know, tread left on the tires. That's when you go to like Mark Ingram and these guys, like basically pre Derrick Henry, all these big time Alabama running backs never did anything in the league because they were always, you know, run down by,
Yeah.
you know, 10,000 carries in the SEC is what it felt like. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, DeMarco Murray absolutely balling out of control. Yes, we would take 3 running backs in this class because they like the flexibility of a Xavier Robinson. They just he's so versatile. He's big. He told me he's at 227 now, but he's going to get back to 210 by the time senior year starts. He's now got Kevin Sperry in that backfield. They're going to be putting up some numbers. I mean, I think he had like
Numbers,
2,600 yards and like 38 touchdowns, something like that, as a junior. I mean,
Xavier did
yeah,
in a year, 2,600.
yeah. He had. Hold on, let me go to my drafts.
Are you?
Um,
I didn't
and
know
don't
he
worry
had
about
20.
where it's in my
I
draft.
didn't know he had 2,600.
2,594 yards on 9.4 yards a carry and 39 touchdowns. Yeah,
And
without Kevin Sperry.
this is at Carl Albert.
Yeah, and that was last year. So he'll have. I mean, they're loaded again this year. He'll probably have over 40 touchdowns this year. So,
Those numbers are crazy, dog. That's wow.
yeah. So yeah, he told me he's getting down to 210 by the start of the season. He's at 227 now. So we'll see. Like I said, I think we take 3 running backs. I think Caden Durham. Here's one thing. I want people to stop freaking out about the upside down smiley face emoji. He uses it for everything. He uses it all the time with all kinds of schools, with buddies of his that accept it. Like, stop DMing me if you see an upside down smiley face. It's not a bad thing. So yeah, I think we need to line up that big old. I guess now he's down to about 340, 350. But that big nose tackle we got in from JUCO,
Ooh, yeah.
we line him up in the I formation and let him lead block for Xavier Robinson.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody doing a damn thing with that
At all. That's crazy. Oh. All right. Well, that's for the most part, the big 2 things you want to hit. Obviously, Champion Barbecue, Taylor Tatum. I am gonna ask Trav because I do want to get into some questions. It's gonna be good to have extended question time. It's been a little bit since we've done that. Let's talk about the NBA draft for just a second. Who are you excited about that the Thunder got?
Well, Casey Wallace, he's what's funny is Brandon Rebar, who is a big Thunder writer, he comes on KREF with us. He's been on this same podcast 3 years in a row where they do a mock draft with, I think it's the Nuggets or the Jazz or somebody like that. And he has picked every year. He picked Giddey, he picked Chet, and now he's picked Kaysen. So they say he's the best perimeter defender in the draft. A lot of people are thinking, why do we need another guard? But you didn't have to give up any capital. You take on a salary dump in Bertans from the Mavs, who basically Saric won't be back now. But I think it's fine. I think it's a situation where you got who you thought the best player available was. A lot of people had him mocked up into the top 6, top 7 picks. So they got who they wanted. And you can't knock them for it because they've got plenty of capital to do what they want outside of that. They can either trade for another big. They still want to see what they have in Chet, as a big. So, yeah, I like what they did.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know my Pacers, we traded a pick and then got the kid out of Houston. I think his name is Jaron. I forgot what his last name is. And so cool with that. Obviously, pair him with Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton. See what we got. We got a couple other picks.
That's who all the Thunder fans wanted was Jarris.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, because they were like, ooh, power forward. And everybody was like, oh, no Cam Whitmore. Well, Cam Whitmore dropped all the way to 20.
Yeah.
So something happened. Shocker. Presti knows what he's doing.
Sam Presti is a hell of a GM. I mean, you guys are lucky, certainly lucky to have him. Hey, guys, make sure that you hit that like button. I know I put it up there a couple of times. Please, if you're in here, we appreciate every single one of y'all that are in the chat, that are watching us from wherever you're watching us from. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead, if you're in the chat, go ahead, just put where you're watching us from. I know we've had a couple people internationally before, which is pretty cool. But just go ahead and give us a location. Where you at, where you checking in from, and then hit that like button when you're done with that for us. And then go ahead and drop some questions. Let's get some questions in here. This last half hour, let's answer some good questions from you guys. Extended little Q&A time here on the JB and Trav Show. It's been a minute since we've given the chat what they wanted. So let's go ahead here and look at a couple of these. Lloyd Grissom says, what are our thoughts on Williams and Nweri? Man, I need to
And you
figure that
struggling,
out.
man. You
I'm
fighting for your
struggling
life
today.
out there. Williams Winery. I feel good about him. I simply don't believe that he's going to go to school 13 hours away from his hometown. I feel fine about that. I still think his best relationships, I think he would tell you, his best relationships are on Oklahoma's staff. You're going to have PJ Adebawore, who his family is very close. They're very close with PJ's dad. They pulled out all the stops. They're going to have the Moseys there. Isaiah Mosey will be a Sooner. They're going to Caden Green's still there. Like, it's just, you have a lot of familiarity right there. I don't think OU gets beat out on that. I still think OU is the landing spot despite this birthday party in Atlanta that he's going to.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are worried about that. You have some flashbacks. I specifically said I had a flashback to like Tristan Lay a couple years ago because I know Williams got a brother in Atlanta, and so I don't think that's going to happen. But just gotta feel good about where we're at with him. Let's put up some of these locations. Got Cap checking in from Edmond, Oklahoma. What's up,
Edmond.
Cap? Got Sooner Cowboys. Sean
Home of
checking
Praise
in
Ford.
Augusta, Georgia. Edmond is the home. We got Glenpool.
That's where my guy Dave Frank lives.
Chickens in Chicago. What's up, Chi-Town? Okay, I see you. Reno.
Oh, I didn't even read who it was first. I was like, what?
You were like, what? That's my wife, my beautiful wife, everybody. Glad she's supporting, as always, from my house. Dallas, Texas. Midwest City. Alex Soonerman. We got Galveston, Texas. Galveston from Joe Dusty Baker. And we got good old Drew, friend of the show, in Norman, Oklahoma, checking in. John from Elgin, Seminole.
Old Sooner Cowboy, I'm going to be coming down to Augusta on the bye week, so I'll be in there like swimwear.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, I don't know if I believe that, but if you are for real listening from Sweden, that's pretty dope.
Nice.
And then Brandon from Orlando. Cool. Hey, JP and Trav Show is regional, it's national, it's international, we global. Mission worldwide,
That's what they call JP, Mr. Worldwide.
Don't tell my wife that. She's going to kill me. Come on now. Okay. Let's look at some of these questions up here that we got pulling in. Who will be the next first team All-American at OU? Trav, you answer first. Everybody in the chat, you answer this question too. Who do you think is going to be the next first team All-American? And then I'll answer too.
Yeah, this is a really good question. Let's let the chat, fill it out a nice amount too. Who will be the next first team All-American at OU? I think it's going to come.
Do you think it's this year?
It's either, if it's this year, it's like Deshaun McCullough or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Who's already made a freshman All-American appearance somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think he'll put up a bunch of stats because I think that position plays well into that. So Deshaun McCullough is probably my pick. If I had to pick somebody else, it's likely Bowman and Stutzman seem tied to me for like second. I mean, Stutzman just led the Big 12 in tackles, which I understand is not always an easy stat because that means he was on the field a ton, which, if you're on the field a ton, you're eventually just going to rack up tackles. But with him, Billy Bowman, and then if we don't have one this year, then Peyton Bowen is squarely in the discussion. The good news is that the four people I've mentioned have all been on defense.
That is
So
good news.
that's a good sign.
So we need it after being the 122nd ranked total
Right.
defense last year. We definitely need
Who do you
more.
think?
Got a lot of good people in here. You know, the chat has a lot of different people. Sawchuck, Bothroyd, I agree with you on McCullough. We got Woody, Danny Stutzman. Got somebody checking in from Thailand, which is really cool. Bowman, Danny Stutzman, Kanik, lots of other Bowmans. Yeah, I think that if it's this year, I'm going, and I know it's probably low hanging fruit, but I'm going Bowman or Stutzman if it's this year. I also think on the offensive side of the ball, you could be talking about Tyler Guyton as one, potentially by the end of the year.
And if you got pick one more on offense, I want to see if we're on the same wavelength. It's a little bit of a long shot because of who would be also at his position, but I've got another offensive player that I think would make a run at it.
Do you? I mean, well, by what you just said, it makes me think. It makes me feel like you mean Javante.
Nope. Old John Morrow got it. Austin Stogner and Lloyd Grissom got it. Austin Stogner.
Stog, my
Because
boy.
obviously, like your Brock Bowers of the world, they're going to be kind of,
Yeah.
preseason All American, all that kind of stuff, right? Preseason top 5 pick, whatever, right? But Stog is like going to be one of the only like healthy and is the only experience, but we're going to be one of the only fully healthy guys throughout the year. If he can stay healthy, he looks better in his route running. He looks far more fluid. Even in the spring game, you saw, a little toe tap on the sideline. Like he looks good. He's already getting a lot of just a lot of chemistry going with Dylan Gabriel. I think he's going to open up the middle of the field a lot of the times. I think Braden Willis is just a different kind of player. I think he's a little more versatile in the blocking, the run game. Hell, he could play quarterback. He could do all this. I think Austin Stogner is more of the big body, go post up like you're getting calling for, something on the block, like you're posting up the defender. And I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to have a lot of catch, and I think he's going to be an absolute nightmare in the red zone. I think Stogner is going to have like something like, I don't know, 12 red zone touchdowns this year or something like that.
I mean, if you think about Stog at his best, I think about the catch he made in 2020 against Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one catch I think about because that obviously Spencer Rattler put in a window, but for Stog to catch that ball, I mean, the strength and just had to hold.
Right.
I mean, hands, and you're like, if he can make catches like that, like those are the catches we talk about, and you guys will remember this. I know you'll remember this. Like when we got railroaded in the Peach Bowl back in 2019 by LSU, those are the type of catches that were being made. Like the catches where you're like, you have people in position. Because truthfully, if you go back and watch the game, it wasn't like maybe 2 touchdowns were wide open, but a lot of them we had guys there. It's just that Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Terrence Marshall were just mossing our defensive backs and catching the balls that were put up there, being playmakers. So when you have somebody that can do that, it's a game changer that doesn't have to have a dropped in lap, that can catch in traffic, that can go up and high point a ball, and that can catch with their hands. That's important. And yeah, I certainly think that Stog at his best, I can see him being first team All American. That's for sure.
I mean, like I said, just in the red zone alone, Dylan's mobile enough to get to the outside if he needs to. Stogner can go up and get it. Reminds me a little bit of a Kyle Rudolph, kind of like big body, can still run the routes, has the speed to run the routes, but can get you off of him if he needs to. So, really excited for what Stogner's going to bring to the offense. I don't think it's something we've had in the offense for a couple of years, to be honest.
Yep, 100%. All right, let's continue. Move on with questions. More questions. Drew, that was a good one. Appreciate it. Let me see another one. Jerry asked
I do
another
want
good
to touch
question
on
in the chat.
Topher's comment
Where is that
from
at? Let's see if I can
the
put it
future
up.
cast.
Gotcha. Good.
So some of you heard Parker hinting on the radio about a prospect that wasn't he had no future cast in for, but was a possible announcement. And Wyatt Gilmore is who he was talking about. Um, Great size kid, defensive end. He will rise in the ranking. He's the number one player in Minnesota right now. God's country, as I know it. So, big fan of him. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of shakes out because you've got Okoye, you've got Ross, you've got Gilmore, and then you've got Winery. Obviously, they're not all true same positions, but you've got options there, and the staff really likes Gilmore. So, like I said, you got Okoye, Winery, Ross, and Gilmore. So they like them all. Obviously, Winery is the number one of all number ones at the position. Miguel Chavis has a chance to go back to back with 5 stars on the edge, which is I don't think OU has ever done that in the recruiting era.
Back to back to back to back would be pretty insane. Pretty insane because we're talking about PJ. Um, who am I missing? Who am I missing? Because I'm not thinking
Just on the edge.
on the edge, right?
PJ going into Williams Winery.
Oh yeah, if we get Williams.
Yeah, McKinley's an inside guy.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Did I say McKinley?
Man.
Keaton, if I said McKinley, I didn't mean to. I meant Wyatt Gilmore, Jay-Sean Ross, Danny Okoye is maybe what I maybe if I said that, and then Williams Winery. Those were the 4 I said on the edge. Yeah, McKinley. When I got news the other day that McKinley might not be as true to LSU as some might think, you know who I called up?
Facts.
Friend of the show.
JC.
Yep. So I'm actually going to see him. He wants to come on the show pre-LSU. He said that he wants to be our guest the week we play LSU.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the week of LSU, we're going to bring Jamar Kane on the show to give us all the dirty little secrets about the Tigers. So go ahead and mark your calendars for 2024.
Oh, that is
already doing programming. So
it's going to be legendary. Legendary. Now
yeah,
you're going to be at his house though when it happens. Are you going to be at his house? That's the real question.
Well, since he's living in wife and the kids are still. He's actually in Baton Rouge today,
right.
But wife and the kids are still living there. Girls are finishing up school and whatnot, and then they'll go up to Denver. But they still might have the house, to be honest. In 2024, who knows? But
yeah.
But either way, I know I'll figure out a place to stay. You know me, I'm resourceful. But he'll put me with somebody. But no, Jamar. So I called him, and yeah, he doesn't think McKinley ends up a Tiger, like straight up.
Really?
Like he was adamant about it. So, so I got to go with him, right? Who else would know? Who else would know other than the guy that was just LSU's defensive line coach? So we'll see. I hope we can land McKinley. That would be big time because I think everybody was kind of operating under the assumption that it's LSU. But, I mean, if he says no, you at least eliminate that hurdle. And then, I don't know, Ohio State. I talked to my Ohio State guy. They feel decently good about where they're at. Some people said Texas. I don't really get that as much, but I feel like it's more of an OU and Ohio State battle personally.
Yeah. Wow. That's a bomb, y'all. It's a JP and Trev bomb in there. That's crazy. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool that you guys still have that close relationship. So that's
Yeah,
always great to hear, man. And if, Jamar,
that's
if you
my dog
listen,
right there.
man, shout out to
Oh.
you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get these
Mm-hmm.
questions continue to pull being put in here. Um, I want to go back to this because we talked about it earlier, and then there's another good question that BB Schwartz asked that I'll put up. You've already said that you believe Tatum is locked in, but when do you think he makes it public?
Man, really like it to be this weekend. I had reason to believe it would be a little bit earlier, but you know, the family, they want to make sure that it's done kind of the final time. It's kind of like a Stone thing where you don't want to. They're not going to flip. Like once they're bought in, they're bought in.
Yeah.
So, um, yes, I believe he's locked in. I think the announcement comes in the next 10 days. We'll say that.
Okay.
I
10
think,
days.
yeah, 10 days probably.
Gotcha. BB Schwartz asks, who is the better back, Sawchuk or Barnes? Chat, go ahead, put it in there. Sawchuk or Barnes? Just say their last names. All you got to say. What side you
Man,
on, Sawchuk or
man, trying to
Barnes?
drive a wedge between our running back room. I will. They both have very elite skill sets,
They
but I
do.
do feel like Sawchuk's breakaway speed, home run ability, um, sets him apart. So
Yeah. Yeah.
while I do believe Barnes will technically be RB1, I think people just kind of got a little bit of that bowl game taste of Sawchuk that they're like, oh well, Sawchuk's just going to be RB1. You know, I don't know. I think Barnes has a little more in-game experience. He likes to run through people,
Yeah.
whereas Sawchuk likes to run away from him, which ain't nothing wrong with either of them. But
Yeah.
um, I think that's enough hedging. I'll take both, but I might put Sawchuk at RB1A and Barnes at RB1B.
Yeah. Um, I what I'll say about Barnes is I do think as far as what we saw, he probably and the reason he probably got on the field more than Sawchuk got early probably has to do with maybe being more complete in terms of being able to pass block, and being able to probably catch the ball a little bit. But honestly, if I'm talking about like just running, I like what I saw from Sawchuk better. I felt like Sawchuk had better, at least from what we saw when we saw Sawchuk in the game. I felt like Sawchuk had better vision because there were some times where Barnes would run, and like you said, he likes to run through people. He had options to cut it back, or he had options to go with the flow and maybe just ran, into the back of the lineman or something like that.
Right, but that
And
was a
again,
lot of that was watching film in game though, because early in the game he wasn't cutting back for those holes, and he was
mhm,
getting caught. And then later in the game, so really good coaching by Levy and DeMarco and the rest of the offensive staff.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's just early on, Sawchuk needed to get bigger in order to pass protect. I think Barnes is
yeah,
already there.
yeah,
So I think if they're running a heavy passing offense, I do believe Sawchuk or Barnes is the better pass blocker right now.
yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And I just remember when I saw Sawchuk running in the Cheez It Bowl, I immediately thought Rodney Anderson. I'm not saying that he
Yep,
is
looked
Rodney
like a young,
Anderson,
healthy Rodney Anderson,
but
man.
he runs like Rodney Anderson. That's exactly what
It
I
was
thought.
it
I was like,
was it
wow,
was that look when you see him climb up past the
yes,
second level away from defensive linemen that turn around, looked exactly like Rodney. It was
it
weird.
did. It was crazy, right? I was like, yo, like that is, yeah, it
Looked
was
like the
exciting
the, the
to
Leonardo
see.
DiCaprio, the pointing meme of Leonardo DiCaprio. Hey, 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 that's Rodney.
While we're on Rodney Anderson, really quick before we move on to another question, can you guys just imagine? Okay, imagine with me if Rodney Anderson is healthy in 2016, you have a three-headed monster, okay, of Joe Mixon, Samaj P. Ryan, and Rodney Anderson. I mean, Can we talk about that running back room for a second? That's insane. That's insanity. Like if we're
Yeah.
able to throw all three at people, I don't know, man.
We could one day be talking the same way about Tatum, Durham, and Robinson. We could
That's a
be.
fact.
I still like that we land all three of those. I'm not, I don't have any future casts or crystal balls or anything like that, but
Yeah,
I like it. I like us to land all three. So
like it.
that's a big time back room, dog. That's a big time back room.
Yeah. Yes, guys, I
DeMarco might
did.
take 2025 off if he lands those three because
Shoot, I'm
he'll be
saying
so he'll be so loaded in the running back room. I mean,
he'll
you'd
be
be going
set. What do you
another year
mean?
of it. So, you just don't take any running backs in 2025. Take 6 receivers since we lead for like 6 of the top like 15 wide receivers in the country, or you just take like 10 interior defensive linemen going into the SEC.
Yeah. Here's another good one. Think they'll take 5 receivers if they can get Terry Bussey.
I think so because I think they understand they've got to take. They'll either take 5 this year or 5 next year. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
With the portal, you got to keep in mind Emmett's still trying to get his own guys in there, and like not to say that he doesn't like the guys that Kale brought in or the guys that were on the team, but it's tough. You want your own guys in, right? And you have some, relationships, like I said, with like Izukama and those type of guys that you want them on the team because you think they're dogs and they can get it done. Terry Bussey is so good. You will always leave the light on for him. If we've got 4 in the class, you make room. Put him in as an athlete. You recruit him as whatever you want. That dude is absolutely elite. So and Zion Reagan's that dude runs legit 4.3 stuff. When I spoke with Michael Hawkins about him, that's the guy he pointed out at OT7 that was like, I want that guy. Like this was weeks before Mike Hawkins even committed. So, he's been dialed in on that guy this entire time. So, if he wants him that bad, I'm all in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did have to switch room, y'all. My phone was about to die, so I had to get into the computer room, get a charger. But
Mr. Worldwide, man, he bouncing around.
How many O linemen do we sign, Trav?
I think we get 4, just like we did last year. You'll add a 5th, like if it's the right guy. If Bennett Warren wants to be the 5th or Eddie Pierre Louis wants to be the 5th. I still like where we're at for Poe. I still like where we're at for Grant Bricks. You're kind of bouncing around on something. Bricks is obviously at the top of the list, but EPL, Eddie Pierre Louis, Big Eddie came on late, bro, and he might be my favorite follow of all offensive linemen because he runs track, and so like there's videos of him running like 100-meter dash as a big offensive lineman. It's awesome. You need to watch it. So,
Wow.
but yeah, I think we take 4. Isaiah Autry obviously is already in the class, so you've got the 1 there. So you're looking for 3 to join. So you say Bricks, Poe, and either EPL or Bennett Warren, and you've got a really good offensive line class there.
Man, I would love to get Bennett Warren. Obviously,
Absolutely.
we had him on
He's a friend of the show.
Man, because if he commits, man, we got to have him back on.
We got the video.
That's a fact.
Friend of the show, Tavani Mizell, did commit to Kentucky.
He did. Congratulations to him.
Yep, absolutely.
And I didn't know. I didn't know Jay Boulware was up there.
Yeah. Well, he knows Stoops.
Yeah, that's true. Keep it in the family.
They never go far.
This is going to be your favorite question. you know, Marcus Majors has been here a long time, and he hasn't done much. And I mean, I chalk it up to injuries. I don't think it's a talent issue per se. I just think he can't stay healthy. And so at
The
this
fact that
point,
we're calling him Marcus Majors instead of Marcus Major, we've already forgot the man's name. He has done so little. I mean,
uh,
DeMarco wants to play him. DeMarco loves himself some Marcus Major, and
I mean,
I've talked to
when he's
like
healthy,
one of the defensive backs, and I was like, hey, who's the guy that you hate tackling the most in practice? And he's like, Marcus Major. He's like,
oh
in the
yeah,
SEC. He's like, in the SEC. He's like, we're gonna have to deal with trying to tackle a bunch of Marcus Majors all day. I mean, yeah, not every week, but that's the body type they talk about. Like I said, the players talk about that's that's who they hate trying to tackle. So the dude's got the physical tools. It's just I am very deep into the I'll believe it when I see it. Like just show me. Show me. We're going into
and
year 5.
yeah,
Year 5.
it might be
Just
six
show
too.
me.
It might be six. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
he
got a 6,
has
I
looked.
think.
He's looked really good when he's. I mean, I remember the Nebraska game. Like he looked really good in the Nebraska game. He had some people thinking he should be RB1 over Eric Gray at that time. You know, some people. I'm
Oh,
not saying
trust me.
everybody.
I remember I was on radio in Nebraska, and everybody's like, Marcus Major, is Adrian Peterson 2.0. He's gonna get 1,500 yards rushing this year. Eric Gray, he falls over if somebody sneezes within 10 feet of him. Eric Gray's a bum. Eric Gray's all this. I'm like, bro. And
Ooh,
Eric Gray went on to be our best offensive player.
yeah.
So, like, funny how that works. Ryan, I'm just giving you crap. But that's the thing. It's like the fan base has crowned Marcus Major RB1 the last like 3 years. It's
Yeah.
like, guys, we need to believe it to see it. But like I said, hey, the players say the person they like tackling the least is Marcus Major. So
And if
maybe it
he
brings a
stays
little bit of
healthy,
reality.
if he's healthy, then it's just better for us. Like truly, like because you know you have Barnes, who's proven. You know you have Sawchuk, who you saw, do really well against a really good Florida State team, and then you add Marcus Major, a healthy Marcus Major to it, and it's a good problem to have. But
Right.
he
Not to
just
mention
hasn't.
Dalen Smothers and Caleb
Caleb
Hicks and
Hicks,
Chapman McCown and Gavin
Chapman
Freeman getting
McCown,
carries and
Gavin Freeman,
Mecca Megwa if he can get
Megwa.
healthy.
If he can get healthy, shoot.
Yeah.
That man is, as ladies would call him eye candy. That's what they would say about Megman.
He more like a linebacker, but he
Yeah,
run the ball too.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
you know what it is exactly? This is the exact video of the guy going, let's talk about the running backs. Dude, dog. Yeah, dog. This guy had 3 touchdowns against Southside. Dog. Well, he's more of a linebacker to me, but I guess he can
Yeah.
carry the rock. Dog. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly what we just did because Megwa would be, oh, well, I think he's more of a linebacker to me, but he can carry the rock.
He can carry the
Dog.
rock. He can carry the rock. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, guys. A couple more questions here. We got about 5 minutes left before we hit the road, but we've appreciated it. It's been a lot of good comments and questions, and it's been a
Yes,
good
Tawi
good night.
Walker as well. He's a bowling ball. He got a lot of love at spring.
Tawi. That's not how you spell it, though. I don't know what that
We're having
is.
a running back spelling class next show.
Looked like you was trying to spell Taiwan. Those
Are
are
they
those
checking in
are
from Taiwan?
those are tripods, Cap. Tripods. Any other questions, fellas and or ladies?
Michael Patterson, 42 minutes ago, said he was dropping a Final Four.
What is he? The NCAA?
This is the Jimmy Butler, the
Yeah, yeah.
exhausted
Final
man.
Four.
Pull the trigger.
Does OU land the 405-4?
Yes, I believe so.
FM, David Stone.
Stone,
Yes.
Caden Durham,
Caden Durham.
Michael Patterson McDonald, and Xavier Robinson.
And Xavier Robinson. I was gonna say X. Why am I? Why did I think Caden was in Texas? He's in
He
Oklahoma. He's
is.
in
He
OKC.
grew up at Moore.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right.
That's why they're
Any other
playing the
questions, guys? Keep them going.
whole local type feel for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Grew up in Moore, like that. That's the plan. I mean, as long as the tickets don't get up to like $500, chicken. I'm planning on being at the Cincinnati game. It's the closest OU game that has ever been to me. So, well, since I've been in Indianapolis at least. But
Yes, Senior Cowboys. He plays at Duncanville, but he's from Moore.
we talked a little bit about it earlier. It's crazy. It's crazy. They're going to be so good.
They got a lot of talent on there, man. They got 3, 4, 5. They're going to have 5 Power 5 D1 guys on the same team at minimum. That's just 2025 and 2024 guys. They're going to have a lot. They got a lot of dudes. A lot of dudes.
Why did the future cast and Crystal Balls coming in yesterday upset the Tatums and Taylor himself? He changed his timeline due to this?
It's complicated. I mean, a lot of these kids feel like, if they tell somebody something, or maybe they tell a coach something and then the coach says something to a reporter or something like that, then maybe they can feel like their trust is, betrayed. But it's the way of the world. Like, when's the last time, probably Dozie Azukama was like one of the first ones that were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Before that, it was Jeremiah Cradell. Like, it felt like we were just shocked like that he picked us over Oregon. So it's like, it's tough because you feel like when 20 of them come in at the same time that your moment was ruined. You don't have any of that mystery left anymore. You feel like they made your announcement for you. Everybody's just waiting on the edit at that point. That can't feel good, right? I mean, for you married dudes out there, what if everybody told, your fiance that you were going to be proposing that night and she just expected the ring, or she, you just lose a little bit of that excitement and everything like that. So, it's like I said, small town, country, humble family, hard workers. Like, they're not like the glitz and glam thing, and all the attention isn't really their thing. I mean, you can tell just based on his social media, like very quiet. So, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, well, I told a couple people some things, or, I was talking to coaches. Now all of a sudden everybody and their dog knows exactly what I'm going to do. So, and everybody's got an opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that comes with it that can be kind of exhausting, is everybody's got an opinion on it, right? Because you've got, I mean, for better or for worse, aggregation sites that are like they tag the kid, and all of a sudden they're tagged in 20 tweets that show them everybody putting predictions in, which, you're going to see the predictions anyways, but seeing them tagged in them over and over, it's like, and reading all the comments about, oh, why would he go there? Oh, the kids, we would rather have Nate Frazier anyways. Oh, what is this? Kids are, blah, blah, can't handle this, can't handle that. Oh, he's no good at, like, it's just a lot of attention, and so much of it can be spun negatively if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, unfortunately, it's the age of social media, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it's it's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody wants that, as you said, and even though it may be the way it is, it doesn't mean that somebody's wrong for being upset about it. I don't think the Tatums are wrong for wanting their son, or Taylor is wrong for wanting to have his moment, his opportunity. But at the same time, too, that's just seems like that's just part of college football and recruiting right now. So definitely tough. But I don't. if for anybody that thinks it's gonna make him not come to Oklahoma, like stop drinking Kool-Aid.
Right, because they had USC predictions in too. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just not go to the schools that you're predicted to go to. You'll end up at Ferris,
Yeah. And the
which Bill
North Tech,
Bedenbaugh coached at, and we got it. We
no,
got our center transfer from there. So Ferris State, shout
yeah,
out.
at North Texas or something. But yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for tonight. Looks like we're done with all the questions and whatnot. So, man, we had a good showing. Appreciate you guys. You know, I didn't know how it was going to be with the draft, but you know, we had about 100 or so people in here. So appreciate everybody that came through tonight. And make sure you please just like the video on your way out. That's all it takes. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm, you know, throughout the week and for people to continue to see it and continue to view the video. Again, if you like what we do, you like the show, make sure you subscribe. Appreciate everybody that is in the chat from week to week. We got our regulars like Topher, like Drew. Cat's been in here. Kirby pops in every once in a while. He just popped in down there. We got Chicken 1515 that's in here every week. So we appreciate you guys. Continue to make sure you tell people about us. Tell them to come check us out. You know, you get real and raw. That's kind of what we are, what we've always been as a podcast. You know, not that we don't want to be dressed up and be professional as we can be. Obviously, we want to give you guys good content, but at the same time, you know, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We try to have a good time, and I think you guys have been with us in that. And at the same time, you get some good info here. You know, we're
Absolutely.
just honest. We're honest about our opinions too. We're fans. You know, and Travis, I call Travis mini booster. It's my opinion, but you know, I'm the fan. But man, it's just fun to do this, and we appreciate all your guys' support and that you guys watch us every week. So, man, appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
All
Make sure to
right.
keep tuning in, man. It's only going to get more fun.
You heard, hey, check your calendar. 2024. You already heard it. You know Jamar Kane gonna
Yeah.
be here. Go ahead, write it
Incredible.
down. So, I love it. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. Same time, 9 p.m. Central Time, Thursday night. Boomer.
Boomer.